Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I'm Trav in the Bush, a bird photographer from British Columbia, Canada, and today I'm going to take you through a whole walkthrough of how I edit a bird photo. I asked my Instagram audience last week what YouTube video they'd like me to make, and this is exactly what they picked. They wanted to know more about editing and my whole editing process. So I'm going to take you through how to edit this photo. This is a portrait shot of a rainbow lorikeet I shot in Australia, and actually if you go down into the description below, you can download this photo, put it into Lightroom Classic yourself, and you can actually follow along with me. Today's edit is really simple. We're not doing too crazy. The main goal is just to take it from going flat and a little soft to being more striking and vibrant. That's all we're going for. Nothing crazy, real simple edit. Alright, let's get started. So to start off, I'm here in Lightroom Classic, and one of the first things that I do right off the bat is I go into the crop tool, which is just up here on right hand side. You see this little square here? We're going to press that. So I make sure this little lock here is unlocked, and then I squeeze on in, and I'm shooting this for Instagram, so I want this shot to be a 4x5. So I'm going to press 4x5, boom, this has got this nice little square now. The reason I do that is because if you leave it unlocked and then you keep it wide and then you press 4x5, it's going to be 4x5, but it's going to be wide. So I press unlock, I go in tight, and then 4x5. Okay, and now I want this to be a nice tight portrait, so I'm going to come on in real close, and I want the background to look nice too. I don't want any major distractions or anything, so we're going to come in here nice and tight, and I'm going to put the eye kind of as close as I can to that top left quadrant, using the rule of thirds. So you see how we have this nice box here, so I use the rule of thirds, and if you're not seeing that on your screen, if you go on your keyboard and you press the letter O, it will cycle through some different grids for you. So these are the ones that I set up. So I have the rule of thirds set, and I'm going to put in the top, like I said, the eye kind of in the top left hand corner because the bird is looking off to my right, looking from the view that I'm looking at. So I want to leave some negative space on the right, leaving negative space using the rule of thirds, and I think right there might actually be pretty good. There we go. I might just bring it up a little bit. Boom, close enough. Alright, and now to get kind of into the basic menu here on the right hand side, so for some of you it might look like this on the right hand side, there may be nothing there. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press on the right side here, boom, actually let's get rid of the presets here, we don't need that showing at the moment. Boom. Okay, so we're going to go into the basic tab here on the right. And when I actually start editing, I don't start right away in the basic tab. And some of the things that you're going to see me do, you may watch other videos and other people do things different ways. That's one of the best parts about editing. And if you're a beginner watching this, I just want to let you know, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Like, coming in here and just messing with the sliders is what it's all about. And getting the image to look like how you want it to look. And there's tons of different techniques and things like that. So I'm just going to show you my process. And it may not be how you like to do it, and that is totally okay. But this is just how I like to do it. When I first start, I really like to control the light in my photos. So I like to use masks a lot. So what I actually do to start is I go to my exposure slider and I bring it down, because I like to control how it looks. So then I go into my masking tool. If you go up to the top right here, this little circle up on the right, that's your masking tool. We're going to press that. I like to use radial gradients to kind of show to kind of make like a little, almost like a little sun. I'm making a little sun rays. So I press that, and then I press my little radial gradient, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come to my top right, and I'm just going to hold down on the mouse, and I'm going to spread it out. Boom. It's something like that. And then I'm just going to bring up the exposure a little bit. Then I'm going to bring up the exposure to where I think I like it. I think I'm going to bring it up. Maybe, always kind of picky with this. I'm going to be doing a bunch of other stuff, so I'm just going to put it to 60 for right now. There, just a nice light there. Maybe we'll make it 70. Let's make it 70. There we go. Alright, so now I just added light to the whole, I added that gradient and it affects the entire image, but now I like the way my bird is looking. But I want to bring the background, I want to make the background a little bit brighter, and I want to show that it's a sun, so I want to add some some heat to it. I want to add a nice glow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go again to my masks, and again I'm going to press a radial gradient. And I'm going to make one very, very similar. Not quite the same. Very similar. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to press right here, I'm going to press subtract. So I don't want it to highlight the bird. I like the way my bird looks. I don't want any more, I don't want anything else added to it. I just want to affect the background. So I'm going to go to subtract and I'm going to press select subject. Boom. Now it's only going to be on the background and it's not going to be affecting whatever I do next is not going to be affecting the bird. And now what I'm going to do, I'm trying to make this act like a sun rays, just a little light one. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come over here on the right hand side and I'm going to go to my temperature and I'm going to increase that to give a nice soft little glow, maybe just a little one. Just see how it changed the color real slightly. You don't want to do anything when editing. Nothing really looks great when it's in complete extremes. That's just what I find. If you go super hard, so I'm going to keep it at 25. Let's say we go up to like 75. Whoa, that's like, whew, that's a lot. So we're going to come back down just to about 25, just to show a little bit of heat. And now the next thing we're going to do is, because we're trying to make it a sun rays, we want to make it really soft. So then what we're going to do is we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to dehaze. And we're going to bring that down again just a little bit. Just maybe around like 14. So that just softens the background a little bit. Again, making that nice, I'm making a soft sun rays, a nice soft sunlight just from the background of my bird. And since we already kind of have the background selected, another thing I like to do to add more softness to the background is I'm going to make, or to make the background more soft, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to decrease the clarity and I'm going to decrease the textures a little bit. Because again, that just makes the background look a little bit more smooth, a little bit more soft. And before we leave the mask slider, we're going to do a couple more things. We're going to create a new mask, and we're actually going to select the subject. I want to select our bird now. And now I want our bird to pop just a little bit. Again, just things in moderation. Little sprinkle, a little salt. And all we're going to do after selecting our bird is we're going to increase the clarity and we're going to increase the textures. Sometimes I don't like to go more than 10, just a little smidge, just to add a little bit more detail to the bird. And for the final touch, we're going to go to our brush. So again, we're creating a new mask. We're going to go to brush. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to zoom into the bird because I want to zoom in to its eye. You see that it's called a catch light. It's a little glow in the bird's eye. And I always like to enhance that. I like to give it just a little bit of a pop. So after we've selected our brush, what we're going to do is I'm going to press down on the space bar, and then I'm going to left click on my mouse. Whoop! Oh, I had the opposite done. So I'm actually zoomed in right now. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to take 2 fingers. I have a trackpad, so I'm going to zoom in with 2 fingers here. Okay, so we're coming right in on the bird, we're zooming in. And then I'm going to press down on the space bar, and that's going to allow me to move around. So pressing down on the space bar and then left clicking on the mouse, I'm holding down the space bar. That's going to allow me to move the bird around. So there, I like where it is. And now to control my brush size, I'm just going to use the little scroll on my mouse, and I can increase it or decrease it. But I want it to be really small because all I want to affect here is just this little tiny piece of light. You see it right here? This is such a small little detail, but I do this in most of my photos, and it's just bringing out this little tiny patch of light. We're just going to color that in, and then I come back over to the right side here, and I'm just going to increase it a little bit. And then a little smidge to the highlights, little smidge to the whites, nothing crazy, just a little tiny pop, that's it. And I think that's going to do it for all our masking. Now I backtrack, and now is the time where I'll go in. So we press this, the far left on the top right here, we're going to press this button up here, and that's going to bring us back to our basic menu. I'm going to press down on the space bar again. So now we're back into our regular view of our bird, and it's looking pretty nice, pretty sharp, which is what I like. Nice and sharp, nice and tight for a portrait. And now we're just going to play around with our basics here. So I'm going to increase their exposure again. We just had already done, we decreased it before, but now I'm going to increase it. Oh yeah, that's looking nice. Oh yeah, look at that. And now we're going to, I decrease the highlights. Increase the shadows a little bit. And in the basics menu, I encourage you just to play around. That's all I really do. When I'm in the basics menu, I'm playing around. I'm just seeing what works, what isn't. Maybe I'll kind of puff up the whites a little bit. And I do like to increase, so it's a very colorful bird, and I got some color, like some awesome colors in there. And right now it's looking a little flat, so I will increase the vibrance a little bit. Again, don't go too crazy on the colors. A lot of folks like to go super crazy on the saturation because they think more color, more pop. But look, if I really go crazy on this, see what happens when you go too crazy with saturation? It just looks like, it's too much. So you just want to go with the colors. You just want it to pop a little bit. You don't want to go super, super crazy. There, just a little pop. I find everything with editing is just little sprinkles here and there, and it all comes together to make a big difference. So there, I'm really liking the way our bird's looking right now. The bird is really popping, the background's nice and blurry. We already added textures and dehaze and everything before. So next we're gonna go down to our tone curve. I'm not gonna go super crazy to the tone curve today. If anybody finds the tone curve really intimidating and they're not sure what to do, this is a really easy technique to know, and it's just called an S curve. And all you're gonna do is you're going to come down here to the bottom left side. You hold down, and you're just going to bring this down a little bit. So that's going to mess with the shadows, that area. See how it just made it a little bit darker? And just a little bit, and then I'm going to come up to the top right, kind of in this area, and this is going to increase my highlights and make it pop a little bit brighter. And I never go too crazy with this. And it just makes a little tiny S curve. I like little tiny S curves. You can go crazy and make big S curves, but for this photo, I don't really think we need anything too wild. Maybe I'll bring the shadows down actually a little bit more. Yeah, just to give our bird a little bit more of a pop. Yeah, I like it there. That looks good. And then for this photo, I didn't really mess too much with my color mixer. I didn't do anything for this one. I just didn't feel the need to. Sometimes I do. And the color mixer is, you'll see how a lot of people get those crazy green colors. They do that all in here. But like I said, I'm just showing you guys just kind of my little walkthrough of how I did this photo. And I didn't do anything with the color mixer for this one. And then for color grading, I wanted to just give this kind of a nice little cooler tone, nothing crazy. So I just went with my blues just to I really wanted to make the bird's face really pop out a bit more. I just like to cool it down a little bit, just something like that. There, and that's all I did for this photo, folks. So here's before, and here's after. So thanks a lot for following along. Again, if you want to follow along with me, there's a download for the image right down below in the description. You can also, while you're there, download my free bird photography settings cheat sheet. Again, completely free. It'll help you out in the field. Like, subscribe, and all that other stuff, and I'll see you next time.